Hello everyone, this is Charles. Welcome. This video is a follow-up on the video I gave earlier about 2 weeks ago on the Syrian refugees in Missoula and the speech I gave at the Toastmasters Club in Missoula about 4 years ago or so. So if you're interested in what's going on in the United States with these Syrian refugees, and particularly here in Montana, you might want to watch this video first. The other day I was online and I was looking at some of the websites I look at, and I was here at Readout News, and they had an article about the anti-refugee rallies that are occurring throughout Montana. So I looked at it, and then I scrolled down through it and I read it, and I understand they had a meeting here in my area in Kalispell. So I went looking at the local online newspaper, and let me see if I can find it here. All right, here it is. It says 100 show up for Kalispell refugee talk, and an estimated 460 people, which is a pretty good sized crowd. They had to move the venue at least twice, I guess. And there's a man came here from Bozeman. They came to hear a Bozeman-based immigration speaker detail the reasons he believes settlement of refugees in the United States is a drain on natural resources and potential threat to Homeland Security. But before I go on, I want to bring up something here. He says, this guy Nachman says, he focused on the part that says the people of the United States will secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Now, this was spoken by the founding fathers when they wrote the preamble. This doesn't mean that everybody that got into the United States from other countries, from other non-white Western European countries, are included in this. This country was founded, and people, if you have a problem with this, I can't help you. But the United States was founded by white Western Europeans. It wasn't founded by people from China or from Japan or from South Korea or from Mexico. It was founded by Western white Europeans for themselves, it says right here, and our posterity. I brought up that same preamble, that same issue that was in the preamble when I gave my speech in Missoula back in 2011. These are the founding fathers, the 56 men who put their name on the Declaration of Independence, that they were founding the United States. They ordained and established this Constitution for the United States of America, for themselves and their posterity. And posterity means their offspring. It doesn't mean, I had one woman at the speech I gave at the club in Missoula in 2011 tell me that, some of us have a different definition for the word posterity. Well, folks, you can't make up your own meanings to words. The words here in this preamble meant something. And it doesn't mean all the Chinese people that have gotten into the United States and all the Mexicans and all the other non-Western European people that have gotten in to the United States since this preamble was written. Those people are not included. They are not part of the founding fathers and the people who were here at the time the country was formed. They are not included in posterity, in our posterity. That's just the way it is, folks. And if you, in my speech, I handed out this little handout here. You're seeing this whole page. And you'll know this is U.S. foreign-born population, top countries of origin. Where do these people come from who came to the United States in the 1800s, 1880s, 1920, up until 1960? It would behoove you to take a few minutes and look this over. This is from the U.S. Census Bureau, U.S. Department of Commerce. So this isn't some conspiracy website, folks. In 1880s, the top countries, the percentage of the people who immigrated into this country were Germany number 1, Ireland number 2, Great Britain number 3, Canada, Sweden, Norway, France, and China is way down there, and they were basically being used to build the railroads that went across the country at that period of time. And then Switzerland and Czech. These are all white countries with the exception of Chinese. Go to 1920, you got pretty much the same thing. Germany, Italy, you can read down here all the way to the very, very bottom is Mexico. Way at the bottom. And then 1960, Italy, Germany, Canada, Great Britain, Poland, USSR, Mexico's moved up, but every country in here except for Mexico were white, of the white race, the Caucasian race. That's the way it was, folks. If you can't handle that, I'm sorry. And in 1965, Immigration Act made a big change. And if you read this, Ted Kennedy, who's a liar, was used as a front man to push the 1965 Immigration Act. And if you go back to my previous video, I point out where everything that Ted Kennedy said would not happen has happened. This is what the government does. They lie to us about everything. Everything, folks. And here, after the 1965 Immigration Act, everything, the complex, the complexion, the demography of our country completely changed from white Europeans, white Caucasians from Western Europe, to Mexico number 1, China number 2, Philippines number 3, India number 4, Vietnam number 5, Cuba, Korea, and then finally way down here is Canada, and then we got another non-white country, El Salvador and Germany. And then in 2008 it gets even worse. Now, folks, some people are going to say that I have something against these people. You know what? I lived 6 years in Thailand, several months in Qatar, several months in Nicaragua, 5 years in South Korea. I have nothing against people of another race. Absolutely nothing. I've probably done more to help other non-whites to improve themselves in the field of English than anybody that you know. 12 years I taught English and computers and economics and business in those countries. So I've helped these people improve their lives. So don't call me a racist. I'm not a racist. I am in the sense that I think about our race, my posterity first. I put my people foremost because that's what every other country I've been in, I saw them do the same thing. I learned how to be a, quote, racist when I lived in Korea. And what did I learn from the Koreans? The Korean people take care of their people first. You don't see non-Koreans moving in and immigrating and flooding in and invading. People were being invaded. I'll get back to that in a moment. You don't see those people, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese. You don't see non-Japanese flooding and invading Japan or non-Koreans into Korea. It's only in the white nations of Western Europe and United States. And I'm going to move on, but you spend some time and look at this, folks. Our country completely changed with this 1965 Immigration Act. And how's things been? The rate of crime has increased, and I don't want to go into that right now, but I'm going to move on to my point with the Act of America. Okay, back here we are to this article in the my local newspaper. This guy, Mr. Nachman, he said his talk was hosted by Flathead County chapter of Act for America. So I thought, well, you know what? I have a background that qualifies me to speak on immigration issues. I've spoken on this 4 years ago in Missoula, right where they're trying to get this new office to be able to import these invaders into Montana. So I thought, well, maybe I can get a hold of this Flathead County chapter of ACT, and maybe they will let me, maybe they would consider having me speak. So I did a search, and I came up with this website here. This is the Act for America, Flathead County. And let's just read through a little bit of this. Act for America is the largest and only grassroots organization dedicated to national security and defeating terrorism. Today, Act for America is expanded to 890 chapters, 280,000 members, with a goal of 2,500 chapters, and over 1 million members by the end of the decade. Act for America is a nonpartisan organization whose mission appeals to every American. See how they're including, like I mentioned earlier about the people of the United States, every American concerned about national security and terrorism, a powerful, organized, informed, and mobilized voice. Act for America educates citizens and elected officials to help impact national security policy and stands ready to take action as the only national security grassroots organization in America. And I want to emphasize this. When they said only grassroots, and then they said it again, only national security grassroots, that raised a red flag to me. When they tell you that they're grassroots, that made me think, well, maybe they're not grassroots. But let's continue here. Here's their goals. They're going to have a Flathead chapter and chapters throughout Montana to effectively inform, educate, and mobilize Americans regarding the multiple threats of Islamism and what they can do and must do to protect them. So here's the purpose of this group, Act for America. They're going to educate people on the multiple threats of Islamism. Here's that word again, grassroots. They're going to speak out for public policy to protect our national security and freedoms and our way of life. I'll let you read that, but let's see if we can't get this little video over here to work for us.
I started Act for America because I could clearly see the coming threat of terrorism that I had just left in my birth country of Lebanon.
Today, Act for America has 290,000 members and 890 chapters, making it the nation's largest grassroots Homeland Security organization in the country. It has established similar international ACT organizations in 16 other countries around the world.
Having come to America, I have a profound belief in the American people. I believe in the power of the individual to make a lasting difference no matter who they are.
Inspiring average citizens, Act for America is creating leaders across the nation to influence our country's future.
Even though I'm a woman...
Well, there you have it, folks. You can come back here. I'll put this link below. You can watch it. But let me scroll down here and let me show you what I think is really going on here, folks. This the Act for America, and before I do that, this woman here says she's from Lebanon. Don't you find it interesting that we have a non-white as the president of a country that was founded by white Western Europeans? This man was probably born in Kenya, He certainly was not born in the United States, and yet he's the president of our country. And I ask you, has our country gotten better with him in office, or has it gotten worse? And here we have, again, before I say this, I have no problem with non-white people. I don't. I just think they should stay in their own country. They have their country, and we should have our country. So why is it that we have a non-white from another country who's going to use propaganda to educate and mobilize Americans regarding the multiple threats of Islamism? And I'm going to scroll down here. Here's the real thing here, folks. They want to fiercely speak out in defense of America, Israel, and Western civilization. This woman is not even from Western civilization. She was from an Arab country. And here's the key right here, folks. Israel is, along with the, we gone over to the Middle East after 9/11, which was pulled off by Israel, Mossad agents, and inside CIA and other people involved in the United States, and they pulled off 9/11. Not 19 Arabs with a handheld box cutter. Folks, if you still believe that, quite frankly, you're an idiot. The real terrorists, the real controllers of the United States is Israel. And they're having a conniption fit because Donald Trump, and I'm not in politics, I don't care who wins, it's not going to matter, but they can't control Trump because he has his own money. Every other politician they've been able to buy out, but they can't buy out Trump. And that should tell you something, people. And that's why he's winning by landslides everywhere. The real purpose of this act for America is to focus on the wrong enemy, Islamism. We go over there and we bomb the crap out of their countries. We carpet bomb them. 23,000 missiles and bombs were used, I think, just in the last year. I think it was. I have to check. But, we bomb these people. We piss them off. We kill their families. We destroy their countries. And then we're supposed to hate them over there. We're supposed to go there and kill them and bomb them and attack them and ruin their countries. But then we're supposed to invite them into our own country, invite them into our backyard by the hundreds of thousands. And we're talking about young men. If you don't get it, go to the websites in Europe and how the Europeans are having to fight back because their government is allowing non-European, non-white Arabs from Syria and all these other countries into their nation. Sweden has now become the rape capital of Europe, folks. They're going after the white people in all of these nations, and they're coming after one of the most white states in the United States, which is Montana. Do you think these people are going to let me speak at one of their meetings? They want to herd all the sheeple into the corral where they can control what they think and who the real enemy is. Folks, the real enemy is not Islamism. At least the real enemy is Israel, because Israel has caused this has caused the terror and blamed it on 19 Arabs with box cutters. By the way, when I was in the Middle East, I spoke with many, many Arabs while I was there. I worked with them at the Qatar Petroleum Company. And we talked about, and this was while the war was going on, right across the Gulf. I talked with Iraqis and Iranians and educated people from those countries, engineers, etc. And they told me that in the local news, in the Arab countries, in December 2001, that Osama bin Laden, he was in a Dubai hospital, and he died of complications from kidney failure and something to do with the lungs. Okay, Bin Laden has been dead since 2001, and he came out on September the 18th and said he had nothing to do with the attacks on 9/11. And you can check that, September the 18th, and the FBI has no hard evidence linking Bin Laden to the terrorist attacks. The real terror, Bin Laden said to look within the secret government behind your government right there in the United States to find out who's involved with the terror attacks on 9/11. If you don't get that, you're going to be confused about everything that's going on in regards to this country. I wanted to bring you up some facts. Most Americans have no idea how big America really is, how big the geographical land size of America is, and how small these other countries are. Americans tend to transfer what life is like here to other countries. Like when I mentioned South Korea, they idea what is going on and what the country of South Korea is. So, just as comparison, I want to show South Korea is slightly larger than Indiana in size, or 38,000 square miles. The population of South Korea is 50 million people approximately. So let's compare that to a moment to here in Montana. Montana is 145,000 square miles. You can fit almost 4 South Koreas into the state of Montana. Montana has a population of just over 1 million people, 1,023,000. South Korea again has 50 million people. Think about that for a minute, folks. A country 1/4 the size of just the single state of Montana has over 50 times the population. All right? So that's why they're bringing these non-white Syrian refugees, quote, into Montana, because there's so much room here and there's so few people here that most people are not even going to know these people are here. All right? They're going to be able to bring in 1 million or 2 million or how many million they want, because Montana is empty. And those people coming from where they live, coming here to Montana, it's going to be like entering heaven. Trust me, I've traveled in over 25 third world countries. Those people will give anything, not all of them, but many of them would give anything to come here, because no matter how bad it is here, it's better than where they are. Especially if you're coming from a war-torn country that Israel is behind the war. I can tell you one thing, folks, having lived in Asia, the Koreans would never, ever, ever, ever let these people into their country. They hardly let anybody in, and then as soon as you're in and you're done doing what they need from you and what you can give them that they can't do themselves, like teach English, you're out of there. Same thing in Japan. This is not happening. The invasion is not happening into Japan. And that's what it is, folks. We're being invaded. The United States is being invaded, and Montana is now on their list because of all the reasons I have mentioned in this and my other video. Folks, I want to thank you for watching. Please, if you do, like, subscribe, and share. And one last parting comment. It was 2 Jews, Jacob Javits and Emanuel Seller, who co-sponsored the 1965 Immigration Act. And I just read the other day there was actually one more Jew involved, and I can't remember his name right now. But they used Ted Kennedy as their front man. And that's a common MO of this group of people. These, the real terrorists, the real threat to our country. This is how these people do it. They use other non-Jewish people as their front man. Yeah, I know. I'm a racist, I'm a hater, and I'm an evil Nazi for telling you these facts. You know what? I don't care anymore. There's too much here at stake to care what you think about me and what label you put on me. I don't care anymore. The American people, the white race in this country has got to wake up, because we are being invaded. And what's happening in Western Europe is going to be happening here sooner than later, unless we stand up and say enough is enough and point out the real enemy in our midst. We have domestic enemies, and we need to start to point the finger at those domestic enemies, and we need to start doing something about it.